There's no resource areas on the rest of the site, other than that isolated wetland.
We don't know that.
We
No, the site has not been thoroughly reviewed. That's one of the points, if you read the BSC report, that's one of the first things it says.
We had Mr. Knappich out there do a site walk,
When?
January 2nd.
Okay.
We reviewed all of the wetland lines. Except for this line right here. This was reviewed, everything else on the rest of the site was reviewed, the railway was reviewed, the Lakeview Avenue was reviewed. Quite honestly, you know, I don't want to speak badly of BSC, but the person who wrote the letter wasn't the person that did the site walk, so. Whether or not they talked to each other or not, I have no idea, but Hannah was there, we walked the site, we walked the isolated wetland, we walked along this area here, down the railway, along the other wetland area that's out by Lake Street. Believe me, the line was reviewed. I don't want you to think that we're not here with sufficient information that was reviewed by your consultant.
Well, isn't that what is stated?
Excuse me?
Isn't that actually what is stated in the peer review?
There was a comment about,
That the peer review is not representative of the whole project.
This, I don't want, again, I don't want to get into the mechanics of what.
That's what the peer review says.
Yeah, that's what she wrote.
Okay,
She wasn't the person. at
you're
the
saying
site.
that's not correct.
That's correct. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And I'm the one paying for it. And I, you know, quite. Like I said, I'm not gonna get into the performance of the peer review, but to say, to make a representation that you didn't, we didn't review the site, it's been reviewed.
I'm not saying it hasn't been reviewed. I'm saying that based on what I've seen in the initial part of the BSC report, that there are outstanding issues which indicate that part of the site, not the initial 2020 project and what was reviewed then, but since then, has areas in it, including potentially vernal pool area, that will need to be examined.
Again. We have an INRAD that's in existence for this area right here. So that INRAD was in November of 2019, was reviewed. I don't know, I think you were on the commission at that time. And we've established all of these areas that they're referring to. And again, the person who wrote the review, she's referring to these areas right in here that are potential, we have them reviewed. They're part of the INRAD. We don't have to go back and review them again. They've been reviewed, they've been determined by this board to be what they are. So you can't change the rules in the middle of the game.
No, but you can re-review an ANRAD if 6 years have passed by and things
It
may have
hasn't.
changed. I'm not saying we were going to, I'm just saying we can, we have that right to do
I
that.
just
Go
want
ahead,
to,
continue, please.
I just want to lay out, so, again, all of the resource areas have been reviewed. The wetland line has been reviewed,
What about the potential vernal pools?
they've been reviewed, as part of the INRAD.
I don't think they were for the entire site.
Oh,
Lou, I think you've registered your point, and we are going to continue to evaluate the peer review. There's concerns that there's some incomplete information that you've made clear isn't accurate. I think we move on.
Yeah.
So,
You've
I'm
registered-
just gonna make this, I'm just gonna make the suggestion that the person who does the site walk be the person that writes the review. I don't want some person sitting at a desk who's never been on the site, never seen the site. I'm not paying for that. I'm paying for someone who does the site walk, writes the report, and accurately represents the conversations that were had on the site. That's not too much to ask.
Let me pause you for a second. Amanda, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
I'd like to have you respond on behalf of BSC as to how BSC handles a situation where one person might walk on site. I'm sure we're not the only ones to have this come up. And the applicant might question why one person is writing the report and another person did the site walk and how that information is coordinated in-house with your company. Could you illuminate us, please?
Yep, I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
So Because I'm probably 3 hours away, I was trying to save the applicant money by having a closer colleague and someone who is also far more experienced do those field evaluations and then coordinate with me on his findings. And then I wrote up the report because it was my project. And so I went through all the bylaws, regulations, and just addressed them based on the information I had. And then Paul is here to address any questions about conversations on the site visit.
Paul, excuse me, Paul, welcome. Having seen what was in the report, I assume, from your company, would you feel that based on your site visit on the site as the representative from BSC, that what is in the report is accurate and a reflection of what was seen on the site walked by you?
Well, I believe it is, Mr. Chair. I came into the meeting, I think mid conversation when Lou was discussing that with you. I just want to be clear about what we discussed on the site walk. We walked down the rail line, looked at the resource areas there, looked at the crossing, went into the gravel pit area to look at the isolated wetland there, continued to the proposed roadway crossing where there's mitigation proposed adjacent to, and then went over to the area where the riverfront alternatives were proposed and looked at that line. There was question about the accuracy of the line there that I discussed with the consultant. We looked at some soils and confirmed that it was indeed accurate. The hydrology is a little funky in there. There's white pine, but understory that would tell you differently. Again, I wasn't sure what you were addressing in terms of what Lou was pointing to in terms of areas that were omitted or not. I don't have the benefit of seeing the plans that you're looking at right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even try to go into that right now because I think none of the commission members have really had a chance to dig into the report yet. Having just received it. So in fairness to the commission and to keep things moving along, I don't want to get stuck on that. I'm more focused on, since you're here and Amanda's here, and the question from the applicant, which is legitimate, is how can you coordinate or how was it coordinated where the person walking the site in this case was not the person that prepared the report, and how was it coordinated with your company? And so having had the person who walked the site confirm that and add any information you care to about how the site walk reflects that you've experienced, reflects what was in the report, and if it seems accurate, then I wanted to make sure that was put on the record for both the applicant and the response, as well as for the commission members. So thank you. If you have anything else, feel free to add it.
Yeah, no, nothing else at this time. Thanks.
Commission member, I want to pause for a second and give the commission members a chance to expound on that particular, ask about that particular aspect if you have.
Paul, Steve Kohler,
Yeah.
did you view the report, Amanda's report as it's written before it was sent?
Unfortunately, I did not. I was on vacation, but I did relay to Amanda some of the points that were discussed at the site walk, some of the conditions that I saw. We did discuss, my findings before I was on vacation, and I believe most of that was relayed into the report.
Can you review it for accuracy, please?
I will, yes.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask one question? Sure. Paul, just to reiterate what we talked about, I just want to
Yep.
get some bottom line on this proposed replication, the isolated wetland that's in the middle of the site, which we reviewed when you were on site, and the proposal to replicate 2-to-1 where we've shown it on the plan. Could you just inform the commission what we talked about on the site and what your particular points were made to us?
Sure. We did note that the area is in the middle of an old borrow pit area. It's a wetland that I would characterize as developing. It does have a mix of both upland and wetland hydrophytic species growing in it. There was approximately 2 inches of standing water at the time. Again, in terms of values, I would argue it's questionable in terms of wildlife value, in terms of obligate wetland species. And so my initial impression was that, because it's such a marginal wetland at best, that it would be appropriate to consider, doubling up the mitigation burden 2 to 1, adding to the area that's being constructed due to other impacts. In that, if the plan was to preserve this area, my concern would be what kind of buffer, viable buffer would there be surrounding it if there's development right up to the edge of it. It likely wouldn't have the hydrology to support the wetland as it is now. I think the watershed might be compromised. And again, it's a wetland that has upland grass species as much as it has, limited hydrophytic species. So I
How
think
big an
there's,
area was it, Paul?
how big of an area?
Roughly, the
Uh,
isolated wetlands.
Yeah, I want to say roughly 50 by 30,
Okay.
somewhere in that area.
That's about right, Mr. Chairman. It's about 1,600 square feet,
16,000
16,000
16,000
square feet.
square feet.
So
All right.
Paul's
That's
memory's
helpful.
pretty good.
Hannah?
I think Amanda had something she wanted to.
Amanda, go ahead.
Yeah, the things that I had mentioned had also been raised by Matt Byrne, who has been out on that site before. So I had met with him as well to get his previous background. And he had mentioned that that it was possible that those were vernal pools. So it's not just that it's a 16,000 square foot IBW, but it could be a vernal pool and it could be isolated land subject to flooding. And in the reports, it said that there were supposed to be, like, the engineering calculations were supposed to be done. So I was just asking if the calculations were done. Just to kind of confirm, like, is it ILSF or not?
Mr. Chairman, just let me, this isolated wetland that she's referring to wasn't even on the subdivision plan. It was never reviewed until just when Paul went out there on the site. It was on somebody else's property, and so it was not included in the original filing of the subdivision. So what Matt Byrne was referring to is the areas that we've already called out as isolated wetlands and potential vernal pools on the southerly side of the site. And those are the areas that were subject to the ANRAD. So we got 2 or 3 different people here at BSC that are like not speaking accurately or represent, Paul is the guy who's been out to the site.
Most recently.
Most recently, he's walked the resource areas that are identified on this plan, which the commission asked for. And his site visit is representative of what we're presenting as part of this notice of intent. And I had this concern before when we had so many things that transpired before with the other application, that the review be consistent with what was done previously. But we have other resource areas that are identified on this plan that were not part of the previous application and were not reviewed by anybody other than Paul Knappich. So we just like some fairness about how this is being handled. If we present something that is not in compliance, tell us what aspect of the plan is not in compliance and let us address it. We don't need someone to regurgitate what's in your bylaw. We know what's in your bylaw. We know what our responsibilities are to comply with the Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw. Tell us where we are not in compliance. That's what the peer review is supposed to do. Not supposed to regurgitate what's in the bylaw. We know that. So apologies if I'm getting a little bit angry by the thing, but this is ridiculous.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just pick up on what Paul Knappich said. I agree with what Paul said about the condition of that existing IVW that's in the middle of the pit. Its history is very obvious. It was an area that was mined, and then they walked away from it. They mined down into the to get at the water table. They walked away. It's developed, it's developing. It's a marginal hydrology, as Paul said. It's got a lot of upland veg in it. It does not have good, well-developed, organic topsoils at all. And, we have the opportunity to go and put it, your bylaw says 2-to-1. We would need to get the commission's, blessing under, to exceed the normal cap on that. But also, you'll note on that, on the replication area grading, the grading is something that Paul and I talked about on site, literally standing there. And, the comment was, there's in general, and on this site in particular, there's a lot of wooded swamp. Obviously, we're not going to replicate the condition of that IVW because it has poor soils, it has mixed vegetation. It has, we're not going to replicate that in kind because as Paul used the word marginal, and I would agree. So we want to do something that's good and functional. So in that regard, my view is we have a bit of a clean slate to do that. Paul's suggestion, and I thought it was a good one, is that rather than make this a uniform area of, planted red maple swamp, why not make it more hydrologically and therefore wildlife habitat interesting? And that's why you'll see in the center portion of that, the grades drop down significantly. So that area will pond. There'll be an upper fringe that we're shooting for, wet meadow, shrub, swamp type hydrology. And then there'll necessarily, as the grades come up, be a fringe of wooded swamp hydrology around the perimeter. Now, that obviously could be changed. Those plant communities are related directly to the hydrology, which is related directly to the grading. And I'd certainly welcome Paul's comments on that. One way or another, more of this, less of that, whatever that can, because as I said, it's not a case of, we have a wooded swamp with certain community that we're trying to replicate. We're trying to create something that's in fact better and more functional than what's there. But again, in order to do that, we need the commission's affirmative decision on yes, we agree that is a good idea, that we agree that it does represent an enhancement to functions and values. And then, as I said, there certainly can be discussions on, how to do that. Maybe Paul thinks it would be a better idea to have more deeper area or less, or, not as deep or more deep, whatever. That's all, those are all interesting points, but we have a threshold question about, not so much how we can do this. We know we can do it. We know we can get something interesting and functional. But can we, may we, I guess is the better choice of words.
Mr. Chair, that's at a depth that's probably down the road. Ahead of that, I think there's a few questions on the table. And we have a peer review that we haven't had the opportunity to read yet. And in the initial reading, there's a mention that the ANRAD and ORAD isn't completely representative of the application. The applicant has a different opinion. He's stressed that. Additionally, we are going to read the peer review that while there is collaboration between the parties, the person who walked the site hasn't read it yet. So, and he's agreed to read it. And if there's revisions, we're not in the position to keep reading this over and over. So that needs to be addressed before we can get deep into the mechanics of any replication, in my opinion. We need to have confidence that what we have is accurate review of the application. The applicant doesn't believe it is. So we need to, again, in my opinion, get that confidence.
Can I clarify? I thought, we had asked Paul if he mostly agreed with what was in the, peer review, and he said he did. Does that mean he skimmed it or he
Well, she's
read
asking
it
that.
fully?
Paul,
If I may, I did read it. A lot of what was provided was again, more of a regulatory local bylaw discussion in terms of meeting requirements of the two. What I provided to Amanda is accurate in there with respect to my observations with the wetland crossings, the mitigation area, all of which were discussed at the site walk. So anything beyond the site walk is material that Amanda provided in her review of the application. But I do believe the information I provided is in that report.
And if I may, we were not aware of the ORAP or provided, it was not referenced in the notice of intent. That's something that was just provided to us yesterday.
Because that was specifically excluded in the original proposal from BSC. And that was called out, the documents were listed that they would be reviewing, and I know that there was a request from the applicant to make sure that any peer review and or other information that was provided for the previous project, which was no longer a valid project, would be considered and or utilized and not re-reviewed, but that is aside from it. Yes,
That might have been a confusion, because it was my understanding they were asking us to review the old NOI and the things that have been hashed out. It was not clear to me that that was an order of resource area delineation. That was still valid.
Mr. Chairman, may I just suggest that we continue the meeting?
Yeah,
We-
we're up to that. I want to make sure the commission members have a chance to ask any other questions, though.
We provided a response to, we've read the report. And we provided a response that I've given out tonight to each of the members. So I would hope that you would review the BSD report in connection with what we've responded to as to whether or not there's information that we agree should be provided by us, and we will do so. And other things that we think are not accurately represented in terms of regulatory requirements. So I'm happy to, not waste the commission's time. Let's come back in 2 weeks or whenever, and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Can I just make one more comment before we close this out? Just for clarification on the ANRAD, ORAD issue. This was something that I provided to the commission and to Amanda when we listed out all the materials that we received from you guys as part of the review for the project. That wasn't included in anything. That typically when I see plans, it lists what flags have been approved by a previous ANRAD, when that was approved. And that wasn't included on any of the close plans with the NOI package.
I don't want to belabor the point, but I think when we had the peer review, I made a specific request that all the information that was previously submitted with the prior application be revisited, okay, or reviewed. BSC or whoever did not want to do that work. I get a list of things that are supposed to be included, which I agreed to provide. You want to blame me for not providing the ORAD when you have it in your office and you know that it was done. If you want to blame me for that, go ahead, blame me. I'll take the 2-week delay. But please, I'm paying thousands of dollars to BSC to review this plan for both the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. I expect them to do a job that they're supposed to do. Go to the site, review the plan, and tell me where we're not in compliance with the regulations. I don't expect them to list, oh, this is what it says in the bylaw. We got soil, we got banks, we know that. I don't want a regurgitation. I want a professional review of what is or is not compliant on the plan.
And while that is a request that you have, and you did have a request for supplemental information to be reviewed, you will recall that we did not agree to that.
Fine,
The commission did not agree.
blame it on me for not providing the information.
I just want to make
okay?
sure you understood and agreed that we did not agree to what your conditions were about reviewing the location.
Fine,
However, you've made your point, and I think we want to move on.
I'm paying, remember. So when they come back for more money, to say, oh, well, we need more money to review it because we didn't have the ORAD. Don't come back to me and say you want $5,000 more for them to do a better job that they should have done in the first place. Please.
Does the commission have any other questions?
Not at this time.
Don, you're online there?
No, No, I don't at this time. I want to review what was
We
provided.
have a lot of reading to do and we'll have information
Does
to.
BSC have the commented version or will they?
Yep,
Okay,
you sent
thank
it
you.
to me right before, so. just-
For them, okay, great. So I'm sure Amanda and or Paul, you'll take a look at that. If you have comments, you'll get back via Rihanna, us as soon as you can. So we have
Yes.
to see if there's additional info. Okay, if no one else has any other comments from the commission or Hannah, we will take a motion, I will take a motion to continue this notice of consent hearing for 2 weeks to the next meeting. Number PM. Yeah, go ahead. Your voice is up there. I didn't.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, before you
Yes.
schedule a date, because obviously we have conflicts and I don't want to waste the commission's time.
Sure.
You know, so I think we're probably looking at the 20, the second meeting in March.
We're done with the 26th.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Almost.
And I'm hoping that between now and then, that, I don't know, is it typical for BSC to respond to our comments, or what is the process here?
Yes, I would expect the BSC will respond to your comments because you've responded to theirs, and
Right.
we would be able to see those. If we had 4 weeks, we certainly would be able to see those, I would think, correct, Amanda and Paul, speaking for you.
I'm sorry, can you,
Would you have time in the next 2 weeks, let's say, to review the comments which have just been sent to you by Hannah? That the responses from Lou Petrosi to your original peer review letter, would you have time within the next 2 weeks to get back to the commission with any comments you have, which would obviously be shared with the applicant as well? And then, so we have a chance to see your response to their response, basically, in the next 2 weeks?
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so then we could, at the next meeting after that, the 26th, continue it and have a chance to review, get comments back, and you guys would have seen it too.
Right, and again, in the interim, I just think it's productive to have.
Yeah, I want to make a motion to move down, and then I'm going to ask a question of the commission, which I'll stay there for, because I want to have, see if the commission wants to respond. So we have a motion, but we don't think we have a second. We have to make a motion.
Did we have a motion to the 26th?
And now we're going to change it to the 26th because, so we need to just have you, we didn't get a second, so I don't think it's about. So I'll accept the motion to move, to continue this notice of intent hearing for off Lake Street, Prospect Street Village to the evening of March 26th at 7 PM.
So moved it.
Pam, thank you.
Second.
Second, thank you. Ariane, any other comments, questions about that? All right, take a vote, James? Aye. Steve? Aye. Neil? Aye. Mike, aye. Ariane?
Hi.
Pam?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Okay, so, okay, thank you. Now I'm gonna ask the commission members to at least initial input, if you have any, stroke, well, not major discussion point. Do we feel that we want to have, as the applicant has suggested, give permission basically to, and in what capacity to have BSC who, not court, confer, have the communication discussion / meetings with the applicant's representative to look over unnamed technical points at this point in time, because we haven't scoped out what exactly it is, but to try to determine various technical issues without obviously setting any decisions on behalf of the commission. The BSC would not be empowered to do that, or not. If you prefer not to do that,
With or without,
with or without, that's again,
with
with or without
commissioners.
commission and or administrative. We can't have a quorum, but you can have a representative. We've done.
Not without Hannah there.
Yeah, I
Right,
was gonna
so,
say,
so we need to decide whether you want to do it first, and if so, who would be there and what parameters you
I
want to
think,
set.
I think it makes perfect sense. It's efficient for us at least but I would not want it to happen without Hannah in the conversation.
And I would like to be part of that, if we could.
Does anybody else in the commission, Don, you too, chime in, does anybody else in the commission feel that they do not want to do this? Otherwise, I'll assume that we have a sense of that we do.
Similar. to what
No,
we-
I support doing it.
Okay. All right, so,
Yes.
Hannah, go ahead.
My only question would be if that would expand the scope of the peer review.
I'm paying either way.
If the peer review is going to have more than the one meeting or so that they've set aside in their original scope, then yes, obviously I would, to some degree, but the applicant's the one requesting this. We're not saying you need to start meeting with them. So you want to do that, that's not in the original scope, and that's reasonable to expect that some amount of time would occur. I'm more concerned about understanding what it is that we would and wouldn't do, even though.
It's just say, we did this prior to when Paul met with BSC representatives on site to do the degraded, and so there weren't any commissioners there. But it is a productive way to sort of sift out all of the peripheral regulatory things that.
Well, I want to be careful about sifting out versus not having the representation and or control over the process. For one thing, this is not, with one exception to my knowledge, the last 12 years or so I've been on, and probably Neil can refer to more years back. It's not the usual process of the Conservation Commission to take any application, to my knowledge, for a project, a development project, certainly someone this large, and work along with the applicant throughout the process, making decision points throughout. Steer me this way on this one, steer me that way on that one. However, I'm not saying it hasn't been done. We have one situation where this recently in town, the commission made that decision with the warehouse project in the north end of town. I'm just referring to the past history that my recollection is, and that this is the change precedent. What it is, in my view, and this is strictly my view, is the commission is being asked to help design this project. The applicant may not agree with that, I don't want to debate it, but in making decision points along the way, more than once, as opposed to getting an entire package, this is the project, this is what I, Lou Petrosi, want to have presented for this particular project, all aspects of it. We would then review it, have peer review it. This is what's been done with almost every project in 12 years that I've been on. And then we respond to the applicant, say, this is the peer review's comments, these are the commission's comments, DEP comments. We need to resolve these things, we need to work them through. The project may then change in scope and design, it often did and does and has in the past. And then the applicant would come back with a revised plan, it would be reviewed again, and maybe it would be fine at the point in time, maybe needs additional tweaking. That was the process, other than this one exception, which we've had in the last year and a half or so, that has been the case, and Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, is that true? Pretty much?
By and large, there've been some cooperative ventures here and there, but nothing.
For projects this large, where multiple
There has been some
questions are
back,
coming up
there
along the
has
way.
been some back and forth occasionally, but not on a regular basis.
And I'm not, it's the commission's decision, not mine, I'm just trying to represent a little history for newer members who haven't been around for a while, and accurately, or try to accurately reflect what could be a change in the way the commission is performing. I'm not sure there's anything wrong with it. I don't think that there's anything, we're not violating any rules and regulations. We will probably verify that with both MACC and DEP, just to make sure we're legitimate. So we don't want to jeopardize your project or our efforts by doing something that turns out to be, oh, you can't do that. But on the other hand, if we are empowered to do it, I want to make sure the commission agrees and wants to do that.
As a qualifier, it was Hannah and I that were at the WS event. At no time during that, and I would assume during this, did Hannah or I instruct, advise, coach the direction of it. We asked questions in conjunction with Matt, who steered the process in a collaborative. We were not advising or giving advice or making decisions.
Right.
It was more of a,
And that
An
process was a
oversight.
different project, a different applicant, different scientist and engineer, and so forth. But yes, the process sounds like it was a collaborative one, and it did move things along for sure, as opposed to going back. I'm not saying that we have to do it one over the other, but it is I want the commission to be aware, if we are making a change in the way we are doing things with applicants, setting precedents in one way or another, that we're clear on what it is we're doing and we want to do it. That's all. I just don't want us to slide into it. In this particular case, we have been asked by Lou several times during the last several hearings that he's been at, you need to help me decide this, point me in one direction or another. So specific, and I'm not saying that you can't do that. You have the right to ask that. Whether we want to respond that way is my question to the commission, which is between us and us, basically. So
As long as it wouldn't violate quorum, I think I would like to be involved in that conversation as well.
I think
It's just-
I would say,
yes.
to make my opinion clear, planning board is called planning board for a reason. These major details of roads and all that gets flushed out with planning board. I understand the sentiment that who wants to have a project that passes the muster with us and is a permittable project, but to be a permittable project, you kind of know what we want. We want you to avoid wetlands where you can. If you can't avoid them, you minimize the impact. If you can't minimize or avoid, you mitigate. It's plain and simple.
So-
If I could offer just counterpoints to that, I was reading in the BSC review that, this project area is in the DEP's mapped Zone 2 wellhead protection area, the community public water system service area, both for groundwater recharge and Bellingham resource.
after we close the hearing.
Yeah,
I think we're
technically,
viewing it and
legally,
discussing the project
Alright,
after
do
we've
we
already
finish?
closed the hearing.
Yeah,
I just-
yeah, that's a good point, thank you, Neil.
We closed the hearing.
So we, have,
Well, I think I can say this without relation specifically to the project. I think that there are some projects that may be of great import to the water supply in Bellingham, and it might be in the interest of the commission to take a closer look at those and maybe be more involved with the developers, as you were talking about, a possibly precedent. And
My thing with that is like, the reason that, or part of the reason the planning board does that collaborative work is because that's their job. We're all volunteers. We all work full-time in addition to this, so we don't have a lot of time to do that. And that's why we expect people to come in with applications that meet the performance standards. Go through our bylaw, look at those, look at the Wetlands Protection Act, and incorporate those into their plans. And then we do take into consideration like when those things are on site, and so like in the past and other projects that we had, I've been like, spill control, are there gonna be any hazardous industries on site, things like that.
that's a good point.
all right, let me get back to topic. So we have had motion to continue to the 26th. Did we finish the vote?
Yeah, we
voted.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we had.
It's closed.
Okay, so we need to move away from talking about it because it really isn't broken to so we closed it. But people have made their points.
Mr. Chairman, I can answer a question I think you asked in terms of is this proper? I can tell you, we do it all the time. I did hear a couple members, I think, say they might want to be interested in that. The threshold that as I understand it, the threshold that you can't cross is to inadvertently convene a quorum
Correct.
at that meeting. So short of that, I don't think there's any problem with doing what we're contemplating.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree. I hear what your point is. Again, will probably, just for my comfort level, have us check with DEP and make sure that there's nothing
The other
else.
option, Mike, is no commission members. And
So-
let them meet on their own.
But the question is whether the commission wants to do that or have some, not oversight per se, but participation and observation capacity, as you said, similar to what you had before. You could have up to 3 members. If there's 3 members that wish to do so, I'm fine with that, but I would ask that if you are interested in doing that, unless you want to speak out strongly that we shouldn't do that, and we should do the no commission members, that you just go to Hannah and contact Hannah after the meeting, let her know if you're interested, and then coordinating, since that seems to be the intent of the commission to do so, coordination between BSC and Paul or Amanda and you guys there, will just take place with Paul. Whether it's in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. As the information comes in. Does that make sense? If you're interested, let Hannah know, and no more than 3 members would participate. And Hannah's willing to do it too, I assume.
Would it not be better for all of us to come to agreement as to whether we think this is a good idea?
Well, I was asking for somebody to speak up right now if you're not, because if you're not, then I'm gonna assume straw poll, whether you're not gonna take a vote per se on it. It's not a voteable thing. If somebody doesn't have a strong objection,
Well, I support the concept, obviously, because
participation, not.
of participation.
I just want to know if there's anybody here feels that no member should go. Does anybody on the commission feel?
Again, I'm good, but Hannah has to be there.
Right, no, absolutely, absolutely. Okay,
I want to make that.
okay. All right, so that seems like a direction to proceed with. We got 4 weeks.
Aye.
Let's see what we did, right? No,
Hey,
voting on it. No. It's just an agreement. I'll think of a vote motion. Okay, thank you.
It's like a wedding, anybody who objects,
Thank you very much.
Now.
Question for the board.
Yes, sir.
We have members of the town here. I don't think it's productive for anyone to bloviate about whether they're for or against the project. But if there are specific aspects of the project that are not currently being reviewed by this board or any other, is this an appropriate forum to bring them up? Not to get answers, but to daylight them so that you're aware of the concerns.
Only if they're relevant to the commission. For example, if you asked about street signs or street lighting, we'd say that's something that the planning board would review, so we wouldn't even want to hear it. And not that we wouldn't want to hear it, but it wouldn't be appropriate for us to hear it because we can't do nothing about it. So if you feel you have something that is not being observed, how did you phrase it? Looked at by, that is something related to the Conservation Commission,
BSC.
then making that known to us either at this point in time, you can do it very quickly, or to Hannah after the fact.
2 minutes max.
We've already closed. the
Oh, that's
hearing.
right. Sorry, yeah. Thank you for reminding me yet again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with it being closed, my suggestion, sir, is you contact Hannah, you have her contact information, send her an email or give her a call, and she'll let us know if there's some information that, as we're gathering, we're gonna be gathering, as you heard already, more information. All right, thank you very much. Anybody else that's here for this particular hearing is.
Thank you.
We're all set. Thank you. All right, moving along to the next hearing. Yeah, the new hearing. Ask Hannah a question. You can do it quickly, so you go next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll ask if anybody is here that is going to not be staying for the rest of the meeting, that you go out in the lobby, please, and if you could go out to the lobby and carry on your conversation, please, we want to continue the meeting. Thank you.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, you Paul, sorry, you Charles?
Sometimes.
Have yourself up there.
I don't mind. I don't mind anyone.
Yeah, that's not bad. It should be.
Okay. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.
I think that's up, right? Yeah. Ultimate tank. Oh, do you want spot?
Yeah.
These are the things, aren't they? The case on that. Behind Silver Lake on the other side of Bounty Gold gravel distance. That's the joke. Two people water for it. I'm trying to say.
All the way from Andover.
What's that?
All the way from Andover.
Well, maybe worse, like almost Minster. What you been doing?
All in a day's work, huh?
Oh, sorry. Oh, you need. The one done. It's pretty good.
We have your digital. We have your digital version of the drawings.
You should. Yes.
So when you reference something, if you could tell us, because I can't see that.
Okay.
I can, yes.
Okay, if anybody in the audience would like to get to a better vantage point, we can have them turn the easel. If you're here for this, this is the project that is a new hearing for Hartford Avenue, 340 Hartford Avenue. So if you want to come up, there's still three of you in the room, you feel free to get a better vantage point. If you're not here for that particular one, you're fine where you are. Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue with the new hearing for notice of intent for 340 Hartford Avenue, map 13, lots 5, 10C and 3A. Addition to the existing water treatment plant and upgrades and maintenance of existing lagoons within riverfront and 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. Town of Bellingham is the applicant, and Charles Karen from Karen Environmental Consulting is the representative. So Charles, you're here, and is Jesse online? Who's online for?
Jesse.
I Zoom, we have
Jesse
Jesse and Jim Cray from Ray Pierce.
Great, okay. Gentlemen, want to lay out what you're proposing there for us?
So basically, we are here for some improvements in addition to the existing water treatment plant that's off of Hartford Ave. This is, I think, the third time I've been before the commission with a filing on this site. We did the original water treatment plant about less than 15 years ago now. And then there's some walls on the site that had some work on those. We have the plans on that as well. So basically, to get you oriented, this over here is the access road that comes in by the school from Hartford Ave. Hartford Ave is right out here somewhere off the plan. The existing water treatment plant is in this location. There are, near the treatment plant, there are basically two areas of wetlands. There's this finger wetland that comes in from the east at this location, and then down in here is a really large, basically pond, beaver pond, I think, but it's quite large.
Not the Heron Brook.
It is there in Mercury.
It's a
Yeah,
Heron,
it's the
it's a
Heron.
Heron Brook, and DE, I think, no, not DEP, Army Corps of Engineers owns that wetlands, I believe. Not owns it, but has, I think it's their land. I think they own it. They own it, whatever. Yeah, so it's Heron Brook, yeah.
So basically, the buffer zone from those two areas of vegetated wetland end up with this arc from here. And then
That's your
well away
100?
from our.
Is that your 100?
What's
That's
that?
the 100?
That's the 100, yeah. And then running along here, well away from everything we're proposing now. This building here is the existing building. The proposed addition for more advanced treatment, and I believe for PFAS treatment, is back here, even further away from the wetlands in the existing structure. So basically, the entire addition is close to 200 feet from the wetlands at the closest point. Where we end up with some jurisdictional issues is currently there's a fairly narrow entrance into the plant, and they've been having trouble with that radius.
Trucks making the corner?
Get trailer trucks that are making deliveries of supplies, making it in there. So as part of this, widening this out so that there's better access, which gets us, basically that, it's like this triangle of pavement is.
Is that paved or gonna be gravel?
It's paved.
Okay.
So that's what's going on at the treatment plant. We've got, stormwater management proposed, again, well outside of the buffer zone. And everything from all of the work actually flows in as a natural depression here. It's not a wetland, it's high and dry, but it's like a kettle hole that was too high to ever become anything. So all the runoff is going into there and infiltrating at that point, so we really don't even have anything getting to the wetland from this work. There was a second. Of course, so we could do this quickly.
That kettle hole, as you described it, was not man-made, it was just natural.
It looks natural to me. I mean, if it was man-made, it was a long time ago. There's no difference in the forest that's growing there than everything around it. The other aspect of this,
Which page you're throwing it there, so we can look at it digitally if somebody's on the computer? Do you know which page you're on?
oh, yes, I'm sorry. This is, looks like it's the lagoon site layout again.
What's the drawing number in the bottom right?
C02-102. So as part of the process out here, there are in an area with 4 lagoons. This is further out the access road back towards the school. Access road down here, so there's 4 lagoons in a fenced area there currently. As part of this, again, proposing some improvements to this, basically, regrading three of these slightly just to basically clean them up. And then the fence around it is in pretty bad repair, so there's a new fence going up. And then they're also proposing expanding the area, I guess that would be to the south, for a basically stone dewatering area. And then along the back edge, putting a berm, and it's only about a foot to
Just
18
earthen
inches high.
berm.
Just an earth berm.
What's the purpose of the berm?
Well, apparent, and Jim or Nessie can chime in if I go, let's go on my understanding it. They periodically have to do some dewatering in these lagoons when they're pumping it out. And historically, they've, over in this corner, I think, gone to running it through some geotubes. And then the water just disperses and runs off towards the wetland.
Is this sewage water or just water?
No, it's fresh water.
It's clean, it's,
Well,
I guess it's,
but I'm not assuming
yeah,
anything.
they did. Hope somebody corrects me if I go straight. My understanding is it's basically wastewater from the processes at the treatment plant, but it's not wastewater. DEP doesn't consider it wastewater. It's just
Iron and manganese.
backwash from the, so what?
From the filters, backwashing for the filters that are in the existing treatment plant. So it's getting out the iron and manganese that's in the groundwater, and that's where it settles out, and that's what's being removed from those lagoons ultimately. So
Sewage lagoons.
no, they're not sewage. It's drinking water
No, but they
residuals.
drain them out periodically, and then they go in and scrape out all the sediment.
Yeah. So the first two lagoons are being lined. And then the other two lagoons are infiltration lagoons. So all the solids collect in the first two lagoons. And then they get removed and they have to be dewatered. So that's the reasoning for moving that space out, is to provide additional room to bring in dewatering equipment when they're doing their periodic removal of the residuals in those lagoons. And that allows the water to flow back into the infiltration lagoons and not over back towards the wetlands. So it's basically containing as these things dry, to basically send the water back to the lagoons and not in the surrounding areas.
My understanding was that in the past, that was done with some temporary containment, and that at some point not too long ago failed and ended up with DEP and the commission involved because it could run off into the wetland. So basically, this berm is to prevent that any water from being able to go that way towards the wetland.
Right.
And we have the stream and a vegetated wetland along it. And then we got this area again where we have this basically, infiltration as well.
The line across the top of the map there.
Yes, I should
indicating
explain that. Yep, the green line here is the 100-foot buffer zone for the
Okay.
BBW. The orange is where the riverfront area.
That's your 200.
The
That's
200
your
foot.
200. Okay.
So we're basically just flirting with the edges of that and some of the.
Okay.
So
For an
the,
existing,
Right,
feature,
right,
for
right.
existing features,
Right, right.
just
Just
improvements
trying
to
to
existing
make
features.
so am I reading that the top of the berm's at 215
Right.
and the pad around the lagoons is 213, 214-ish?
As I say, it's really only about a foot or
Okay.
a little higher than that.
And that'll just be grassed.
A quick question, if I may. Is this the area that has been subject to flooding in the past? And if so, is there anything included in the design to help address the flooding situation that may have occurred?
I can get in on this one. No, we have not experienced flooding in the area of the lagoons. I think the area that you're speaking of is further down towards the school itself. I believe last year about this time we did have flooding, but no, this is uphill of that. We have not had an issue with flooding in this area.
Thanks, Jesse.
You're welcome.
Okay. Additional information you want to share at this point?
No, I think
Everybody?
answer your question.
All right, I'll open it up to the commission. Anybody have any questions or observations? Don obviously has asked one, but you're entitled to two, Don, so.
Nope, that was it.
And we're replacing chain link with, existing chain link that's in disrepair with new chain link?
That's, yes, right, I believe that's the case, right, Jim? It's gonna be chain link again.
Correct. Yep. In kind.
Often around detention basins, not that this is specifically a detention basin, but often around structures like this that are infiltration type structures, we have specified that the fence should have a critter clearance of 6 inches or so under them. Is that something that's gonna be done for this one, or would we not want that because
think we want it.
I don't think you want
we
the,
would want
This is not,
both critters and or kids that are nearby at Stallbrook?
this
to
is
come
not, this is not,
and to go.
Secure.
yeah, this isn't the same type of.
Okay, I just questioning
As a
whether,
detention
I didn't see,
basin,
I didn't see detail on that. So I was
Yeah,
just-
go on.
no, especially as part of a public water.
Yeah, this doesn't have
supply,
any
should-
natural features whatsoever.
Right. Well, tempting yet to kids. So I just want to make sure. So there is no clearance. That's good. Okay, I was gonna recommend that we don't do that, but unless there was a reason, but that's good. Sounds like you don't have plans to. And I think putting a new fence up is a really good idea. The old ones are falling apart.
What are you plan to use for PFAS treatment?
Jim, can you answer that question? If you,
Yes, we're using granular activated carbon, GAC contact vessels.
Additional questions?
What's the square footage of tree removal? Pretty significant, right?
within the buffer zone and the riverfront along this back edge, it's just, I don't know, I don't remember the exact square footage. It's just a strip maybe 10 feet wide, 5 feet wide.
Well, I mean, for the advanced treatment.
And I actually, when I was out there looking at it, I think it's actually in practicality less than what's shown on the plan. I think a lot of what's shown as a tree line is the overhanging branches. I think most of the tree removal is gonna be trimming.
Are you going to talk about the lagoon? Because James.
No, James is
No,
talking
no,
about-
I'm asking. James is questioning about the new building and clearing around that. Not so much this tree line, not so much the berm area.
Okay, wait,
How many trees are being cleared around the new building that's going in?
uh,
Do we have a sense? Do we have a count?
I don't have any, no.
Because that area is forested now, correct?
Yep.
Again,
The only area
the building is,
was where they're putting in the turn radius and parking. Yeah. Within the 100 foot.
No, I'm just curious what's.
They should know.
I'm back to she, it looks like C01.
You want me to scale the plans real quick?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect, just like a order of magnitude.
It's a fairly big area getting cleared back.
How many square feet roughly is that?
It looks like you've been out there already, because it looks like you did borings, or those proposed borings.
Right.
We did borings already.
You
This
did-
is all outside the
Right.
buffer zone by a long.
So it is gonna have an environmental impact, so it's a question that.
So this is basically extending the clearing behind the building by about 110 feet.
So the dash marks is all tree clearing?
Yes.
That's tree clearing?
Some of that clearing is. Within the buffer zone.
Yes.
All right, it's roughly 32,000 square feet or so.
And how much of that is within the circle area that is by the driveway there, that's within the 100 foot?
Yeah, how much permanent alteration of the buffer zone? They should know that, that should be in the final.
That's like 2,400 square feet right in that block right there. And most of that's gonna be we've just got that widening of the pavement here, that's really the only permanent alteration.
Everything else you said is gonna be grass?
Yes,
Why we need to remove the trees?
Yeah, why clear it? Why do all that? Is it grading or why
There
do
is
all
some
that work
grading.
just to get that little corner paved?
that's for the site plan. So there's an area grading here, another area up in there. So conceivably, there's a little block there in the.
It has
in
trees
between
going down,
that.
it could be left potentially because it doesn't need to be graded.
Right,
before
it'd
it's
be
cut.
a.
That's within the 100 foot,
Like a 25 by 25 foot patch that could be.
within the 100 foot.
Right.
So
Yes.
areas that you don't have to, certainly the commission would prefer that you didn't, but if you have a valid reason for doing it.
Yeah, like if you have to do grading, you have to do clearing, but if you don't have to grade it, then why clear it?
Unless it's an observation thing, or be able to see line sight or something, but safety thing, that would be a planning board.
There's no,
Yeah.
but there's no
Yeah, there's
traffic on that road.
Back to trailer, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah, so, was that quantified on the NOI, as Neil said, it should have been on there, or James said?
I was trying to look, I couldn't find it.
How many square feet is being impacted and how much within the 100 foot resource areas? That's something I would expect to see on the NOI, because it usually is a line. somewhere in the form.
It has to be.
That's what I think, yeah, I think,
Well, it's, this, like I said, this was about,
If it isn't, the filing is deficient.
this is about 20, what did I say, 2,400 square feet. In that area, that's
Right.
being impacted in the buses.
yeah, we as, we're making the comments while you were looking at that, measuring that should be and needs to be on the form filled out already. So if you're filing the NOI and that information isn't on there, then as Neil just said, then the form's not being filled out quite correct. To be adjusted. But I'll
And we
let you,
should, the permanent buffer zone impact should be on there. They can't be referenced quickly and easily in this.
Well, it's in the narrative, I'm looking, because I.
Is it in the narrative?
It is in my narrative,
Okay.
which is a little high, is 3,200 square feet of vegetation clearing. And
What document?
2,650 square feet of repaving, which is an increase of 500 square feet over
I saw
what's
that,
there. now.
500 jumped out, yeah.
And the grading encompasses about 1,000 square feet. And we have 110 linear feet of fence in the buffer zone.
Oh, 30,000 that we heard
See, it is in there.
thrown out there.
That's the.
That's that whole big area clearing. The entire.
Yeah,
So the 3,000 that you just mentioned on your narrative, what was that, 3,000?
That's that's the,
Within the 100.
that's what's
Okay,
within the
just make
buffer
sure,
zone.
okay, yeah. But.
We just wanted that quantified.
Yeah, so it is,
2,650 feet of repaving.
Right.
Repaving or paving?
Most of that's repaving. There's to increase that radius, there's an additional 500 square
The
feet.
increase of
But as
500.
part of it, they're
Yeah,
gonna
so that-
repave.
that's noted, yeah,
So it's 2150 currently.
it's going up 2,600. Okay. Additional questions?
I just think the benefit to, the benefit of any of the work being done, the minor work being done. is-
Jesse, how soon do you guys
to
want
the-
to do
to
this?
the- To the public health
Oh, yeah.
of the
sure.
community is
Okay.
probably,
I
Oh.
agree.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, so we're looking to move forward with it. So we're going to be bidding for, or going out to bid for construction. We're hoping to move forward with it as quickly as possible. PFAS in the drinking water is certainly something that we want to get ahead of, address the issue, provide, clean, safe drinking water to the residents. So I think ideally we would move forward on this as quickly and efficiently as we could.
I'm thinking like in the next calendar year, 6 months, or, I don't know how fast the building and so forth has to be a town project, right, capital project? Or is it already approved?
We're at the construction phase. Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's over a 2-year period.
yep, 2-year construction. We're going out to bid in April and awarding the contract by the end of June.
Okay, and would this do filtration for the entire town? Water supply,
This is
or
half.
just the north end?
Yeah, just the north end, but it's kind of a loaded question because Bellingham doesn't have a line of separation in town. So essentially, one of the plants could feed the entire town in the low demand season if the other plant is shut down. So to answer the question, it's one system, 2 plants. So it really depends on the time of the year, how much draw there is, but there is no, you're definitely getting water from this side of town or that. It really depends on what's online at that time.
I didn't know if this one plant was going to provide the increased protection and benefit to the town throughout the entire town, or whether it's too much of a stretch and you had to have both plants running in order to do this, and, you know, one in the south end to do that year round, and not just to cover each other.
Yeah, and fortunately, the plant on the south side of town has experienced much lower levels of PFAS in the drinking water supply, below the threshold. So the water supply that's currently coming from our Rentham plant is ideal in comparison. So this really takes care of the only issue that we have existing at this time for PFAS at elevated levels on the north side of town.
That's helpful, good. And just for the public record, since we're using acronyms and people don't always know them, could you say what PFAS stands for?
Polyfluoral alkaline.
And
I'm not asking you to spell it, just
polyfluoroalkylated
say. What's it? We already know the guys there.
per and polyfluoroalkylated substances.
Right, which is basically stuff you don't want to be drinking. Okay,
AKA forever chemicals.
yeah, okay, Steve, thank you.
Process question, the lagoons are where the backwash water for cleaning the treatment system goes. If that treatment is removing the PFAS and you're backwashing it out of the treatment system, is there PFAS going into the lagoons?
Jim, you have
Uh,
No, those are treating for the manganese, those are treating, those are removing this.
But it's backwash from the treatment system.
But the treatment system's going through a charcoal.
Let's see if they have an answer. Go ahead.
I was going to say, typically the PFAS that would come out of that, it's whatever it's typically around the background concentration that is in the water. So it could get concentrated over time, but it's really whatever the PFAS concentration that's coming in. It's usually around that level that's going back out with the backwash. Obviously
The charcoal system will get backwashed into the same system.
The GAC system is set up so that absorbs the PFAS and that doesn't get backwashed. So the whole time those system is online and it's absorbing all of the PFAS, and over time that media gets filled with PFAS particles and it has to be removed. So the media actually gets taken out of those vessels and destroyed or landfilled or disposed of. And then new media comes in. So that's where the PFAS is coming out in the media.
So you're not putting any more PFAS into those lagoons.
No, we're not
Downstream than you will be today, given that there's some going in there today and there'll be some going in.
We'll be backwashing with clean water that doesn't have PFAS in it. That wash water that's ultimately going to lagoons is not going to have PFAS. Right now it does because it's not being treated. So it's going to improve actually, over time. Yep.
Thank you. That's good clarification. Thank you.
Sure.
Additional questions?
So do we have permits?
We do not have a DEP number or a Bellingham number yet, because this is so new. So those will need to happen, obviously.
Don't need a Bellingham number.
Because it's a DEP project. Yeah, okay, so at least a DEP number. Okay. And do you have anything else that you guys are doing with the planning boards at this time for this? I don't know if Board Bob Roth skipped out. I would have asked him directly. So no, you're not doing anything with planning board, Chelsea?
No, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Nothing in front of the board. That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure, because we always coordinate with them if there's a project where they're reviewing some aspect of this. I didn't know with some traffic and stuff there, road work. Okay, so we would then, do you anticipate any word from DEP? You're just hoping that they'll get you a number soon? We really don't usually close without having a DEP number. I don't
They've
think we
been
can actually.
killing everybody lately with this.
Yeah. I mean, we can continue to the next meeting and hope that you'll have the DEP number, and if there's nothing else, I don't think if we have any particular order of conditions that we would need to specify.
I would say.
If anybody has any.
I have two things.
Okay, we do have a couple of comments for the order of conditions for the record. Go ahead.
One, I'd like to see a more defined narrative on what, if any, of those trees in that top corner you can say. And if you can't, that's fine. I'd like it spelled out a little.
Within the 100-foot buffer.
Right.
Gotcha.
Only that top section, because it looked like about half of that area you're not grading, so if that can be left alone, then I prefer that. And then this would probably just be a special condition, but it seems some of their erosion controls are hay, and that's not a best management practice. anymore. Hay spreads invasive species, so we can use straw or
Where did you see it?
it's in the details in the back, C99503.
What do you do about that? What do you do?
See some check dams, hay bale barrier, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
The model has 2 Ts, not 2 Ds, as I've seen one applicant put in.
Waddle.
They were gonna waddle.
They were voted, I didn't bring it up during the meeting because I didn't want to embarrass them, but yeah, that was a lot, so, okay, but you know it's the waffles, yeah. Okay, anything else? Anybody else have any other conditions they'd like to specify or Hannah make note of?
I'd say maybe if we could get a copy of the as-built plans.
Oh, yeah, we would absolutely want, so, set of as-built plans when, well, such time, to request, that's really sounds reasonable. Don't you normally get one?
Before we issue
It
that.
spreads against.
To get a compliant.
Right, yeah, there's sometime in the process is
I
what I
guess
think
it would
area.
depend on when you.
Okay, once you're in that, you better tell, okay. Any other comments, questions before we close this? I'll accept motion to close and issue an order of conditions if we receive.
No, just continue.
All right, fine.
Let's just continue.
All right, fine.
think
Motion
it's-
to continue to the evening of
I still need the tree near.
March, thank you, Dave, right, you did ask about, March 12th at 7 PM.
That work for you?
So moved.
All right, thank you, Don. Quick, take care. Anybody want to second that? Thanks, okay. Let's take roll call vote. Yeah.
Aye.
All right, Don.
Hi.
Don,
Aye.
Neil,
Right.
Steve, James.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, vote. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Jesse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, James. Thank you. Okay, moving right along, we have a quick one here. This is continuing. We have a continued hearing for notice of intent, 123 Mendon Street, commercial redevelopment within the riverfront and 100-foot buffer zone to BW. DC Pavona Enterprises is the applicant and the representative Bill Halsing. Land Planning Inc. We have a request from the applicant to continue to March 26th as they're waiting for additional
They're doing stuff with.
planning board exchange of information and so forth. So moved. Thank you, Steve. Second.
Seconded.
Thank you, Pam. Any other discussion on this? No? Okay, take a vote. James. Steve. Neil. Mike. Ariel.
Hi.
Don.
Aye.
Pam.
Hi.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Okay, moving right along. We have a continued hearing for notice of intent for 621 Rentham Road. Is this the current, I see the revised number 1050951, which we did pick one was changed. Anyway, this is for demolition of existing home and driveway extension to a new single-family home, which will impact bordering vegetated wetland and buffer zone to BVW at 21 Rentham Road. Dewar Properties LLC is the applicant. I could have mangled that, and Brandon. And
You're too close to one socket to not know how to do.
that's all right, I'm more center town person. Okay, is representative from Ecosystem Solutions, so go ahead, Brandon.
Thank you again, Brandon Fanoff, representing Dwyer Properties. We were here a couple weeks ago and the commission made comments. So we made revisions and I have a comment letter that I'd like to go through with you that hits the main points that I think were asked.
Were those points that you're about to mention sent to us? Is that the? I'm sorry,
Sent last
Yeah.
Tuesday,
Yeah, I think it was the
Wednesday. We got it in a week ahead of time.
Yeah, I think it was on the portal. I just want to make sure the commission members are aware of
It is.
and following it up if they want to. Go ahead.
One of the questions was, where will the electric and telephone wires be installed? And the answer is, on telephone poles on the east side of the driveway, and the pole locations have been depicted on the plan right on the driveway shoulder. Okay? Any questions on that?
Did you get in touch with the grid out here? You get in touch with them on whether they could do an underground install in the driveway?
We have not gotten that far. Yeah, but
Just one.
number two, was a question from,
On that, wasn't
Yeah.
there a request for you to go underground? Or look into
Well, I
it?
can't require them to do that.
No, but you asked.
I asked them to, yeah, both grid.
Any progress on that?
They just said no, he didn't pursue. He just asked.
Yeah.
Right.
No worries.
Okay, good,
Well,
sorry.
Grid Eversource take a while to get back to people, so I'm not surprised you haven't heard.
Mr. Clancy, I think it was Mr. Clancy asked a question about the impact to the 25-foot no disturbance zone south of the proposed crossing. And how much area is that? So if you look on the right side of the driveway, the area 25-foot buffer disturbance is 1,325 square feet. And the discussion around that was, well, what can you do as mitigation? And we were talking about the lawn area near the road, which really isn't necessary anymore. And can we put in some plantings in that area? We have. And those plantings, you know, basically, they don't need any of that area except the area where the driveway is going to come in. So as part of that, there's a semicircular driveway, which now has a note that reads the existing driveway will be removed. So that can be turned back into a natural area, and we do have plantings of red maple and black gum, which I think those are both they're wetland trees. It's a very moist area up in this, although I think those are the appropriate trees for that area, and otherwise be allowed to revegetate naturally. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Then the next question is, will there be a net loss or gain of material taken off the site as a whole? There will be a net gain. The approximate amount of fill in the wetlands in order to facilitate the crossing, approximately 17 cubic yards. Okay, the amount of fill in the area of the house, approximately 260 cubic yards. Yes, there'll be a little bit of moving around of dirt on site, but there will have to be soil imported in order to make the crossing a certain height, at least. Okay. Next question that came up was, will there be one or two pipes? Two, and they're now shown on the plan. Two, and will they be embedded? Yes, they are. In fact, on sheet 2, there is now a detail showing the pipes will be embedded into the ground.
Orange, Steve, a question about that. The ADS pipes, I had to look up, because I know what ADS stood for. It's a flexible pipe. And the article I happened to call up on the web was PVC versus ADS pipes, and what's suitable in this case was for people's backyards. But then I got pictures and saw what they were like. They're flexible and so forth, easy to install, less expensive than PVC perhaps. But the limitation on them, the downside of them, the cons was that they're not very structurally strong. They're flexible and almost like a dryer vent hose versus a rigid dryer vent hose, you know, versus a flexible one. In this case, looking at the profile that's on the plans there, you have about 1.5 feet of soil over the top of these for the driveway, then where they cross. Is that correct? About that much?
Let's see here.
I might have been wrong.
Yeah, it was about a foot. Yeah, that was the phase.
So-
12 inches of gravel over it.
So they're embedded about 4 inches deep, it looks like, in the profile there also. And then this semi-flexible pipe, I'm just concerned that they won't get crushed with the traffic. Did they specifically say they're not?
I am completely at the mercy of the engineer who designed it.
Okay,
So,
because I hate, and the other reason that they aren't recommended is they clog up because they're like a dryer vent hose that's flexible. In the description that I saw, which they have some ridges in them and can collect sediment and clog up. And this is something we would obviously not have clog up. So I'm not recommending a change to PVC or some other type of pipe, but I did question that because I didn't know what ADS stood for. Once I saw that, I said
no skin off our back, Mr. Chairman.
advanced drainage system.
Well, Mr. Chair, that's also gravel. Frost will eventually drive those to the surface
Right, well, that's
over years.
well, they have to be at a certain grade though, below ground to get the pitch to go across. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they won't stay that way.
Well, I'm not saying that they won't. I'm just saying that they can't go too deep to get below the frost line for the pipes because that probably doesn't make it from an engineering point of view to get the drainage across under the road, right?
I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, I'm suspecting if they're a foot
To get down
below.
below the frost,
Well,
you need to
I'm-
be 3 feet down.
Right, that's what I'm asking Steve. So you're saying the
The roads
pipes,
would have to go
your
up.
concern is the pipes will be pushed up by the frost.
They will migrate up over years.
Right.
But, I mean, plastic culverts get replaced within, a decade or two anyway. That's kind of how they're designed. They're meant to be replaced at some point.
I was just worried about them initially when the first couple cars or trucks drove over them because they're seemed like in the information I looked at, A, they're not very deep, yes, and
A
B.
lot
they're
of
soft.
these are, from my understanding, made for like French drains or like gutters, like
Right,
they're more for that application of a longer run,
They're flexible, you can turn them, you
There's
can
not-
bend them, they're
There's not meant
cheaper.
to be force
Well,
applied to the top of it,
It says that they're made of polypropylene.
HDPE.
So if they're HDPE, then it's basically multi-PVC.
No, not the pictures I saw, they were clearly not, and actually said they.
There's
that
low
was way-
density.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, maybe we want to make sure that we aren't setting ourselves up for failure, but. Or the applicant isn't setting themselves up for failure, because it will affect the crossing and drainage in our purview. As opposed to being just a roadway thing and a planning board thing. So I don't.
There'd be an objection to concrete encase those at that point.
That's just disturbance, they have to expand their.
This was designed by an engineer, correct?
Correct, yes. Paul Carlson, the Inside Engineering, who's a professional engineer, has designed it and stamped it. I mean, if you have other, it's like, if you say concrete encasing, why not just put in a reinforced concrete pipe, an RCP then? If you want to condition it that way, but no issues like that.
I just don't want it to clog up or crack or fail. And so if the engineer's stamp is on it and you feel comfortable and there aren't any issues, then the owner is going to maintain it and keep it clear, because that probably, that's something we should make sure is in
I
order.
concur, because from my research just now on ADS, they make a bunch of different types of plastic pipe.
But we're not
including
specifying it to the engineer.
PVC drainage structures.
Right, so
So that's probably what it is. It's just the.
probably might be, I don't know, I'm just asking the commission if you want to do anything about it or not. I just noted it and made an observation, so if you want to leave it up to the engineer stamp and whatever they specify on the project, that's up to the commission. If you want to try to specify something or conditions or whatever, that's up to you and how you want to
No
specify.
skin off our back, Mr.
Right,
Chairman.
I agree, I just want to make sure that this is the time, it seems like, to do something about it, if you're going to do something.
I think it's fine as proposed, knowing that if it needs to be replaced, then they just have to come in front of us again, and then at that point, I think the conversation is, why did it fail? If it's like 5 years from now, why did it fail in 5 years? I think if the engineer's willing to put his seal on it, like Neil said, I don't know.
And I think in the order of conditions, we should definitely have a maintenance plan to make sure that something stated that they need to be kept clear, because it's no good to put this drainage thing over underneath the road and have it backing up. Which this I might do.
Keeping it clear or cleaned out, and then also I think, adding, like supplementing additional gravel would be considered a minor,
What do you mean supplementing additional ground?
like when the pipes start coming up, as Steve said, to just put some more gravel down.
I don't think that's gonna be a solution.
Refreshing the road, you mean?
Yeah, I would
If it-
consider that minor maintenance.
Well, but if the pipe
The
comes up,
driveway's paved,
if the
correct?
pipe comes up, putting more gravel on it will just make a hump.
Yeah, the driveway's
Yeah,
paved,
it's
correct?
probably-
No,
That's right, that's right, okay.
That's why I brought it
Right,
up.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, correct. And
Gradually has a way of going up and over.
Is there a way to mitigate that?
But then you're changing your invert, so you'd actually have to go in and load the pipe back
Okay.
into your invert.
Yeah, if the
Put it
pipe,
deeper, encase it, and go to a Schedule 80.
PVC, yeah. That was gonna be another one of my suggestions, either an RCP or a Schedule 80 PVC.
At a minimum, I would recommend that it's that, but again, I think to the point. The only place where I disagree with you, we have a little bit of a responsibility to not accept. What could be interpreted as a scheduled failure.
Sure.
right, if something makes sense to us as lay people, so to speak, we're not engineers, we don't design pipes and know what the roadway is.
Are we reasonable to have the applicant go back to the engineer with those questions and propose an alternative?
I'm open to suggestions from the commission.
Rights to do it.
We would be happy with you just conditioning a more robust pipe.
That's good with the commission, I'm open to suggestions.
That'd be fine, then we can.
I'm just worried about the.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just worried about the increased, if we condition an encased pipe system now. That's why, it's widening.
The impact will be bigger, yes.
Right.
You're right. So a different type of pipe is more robust, less likely to be crushed or clog up, et cetera, fail.
It's also much messier of a replacement if that fails.
Right. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, you should always find out how the house will be heated. Is it gonna be heated with oil? Because when my old truck comes up my driveway, he sinks in about 6 inches. He's already crushed a couple of pipes. in my driveway, so if it's gonna be thermal heat or something, you don't have to worry about an oil truck. But oil truck, one day might be his first delivery with 10,000 gallons on the truck.
I wouldn't have that brought up actually, where it might impact conservation. You'd think it'd be just strictly a planning board kind of thing or whatever, if it's on the driveway, but in this case, it's impacting pipes that are under our
Well,
jurisdiction.
even this road's getting built before the house gets built, so even construction vehicles, not just oil delivery. but-
No, they're bringing in 260 cubic yards of fill.
Right.
Yeah.
That's gonna need a truck.
Right.
Plus the concrete trucks
Yeah.
going up there.
Heavy are they?
I mean,
Heavy are they?
yeah,
Yeah, these, again, only because they're jurisdictional for the crossing area. If it weren't, if it was just a driveway going up through an area that, you know, we didn't have any jurisdiction on, we wouldn't be, I think, discussing or be as concerned or debating it. But some of these concerns, we don't want to set ourselves or the applicant up for failure and have it, you know, big issue and have to come back again. How would you recommend you proceed? You know, you're out the applicant you're representing.
I would recommend if you're not comfortable with the ADS, then just condition, I'd say a reinforced concrete pipe or a Schedule 80 PVC.
Able to withstand.
And we can provide you an updated plan within 21 days with that specification.
The trucking brings up another, I know we asked about the width of the driveway.
Right, 12 feet with the shoulders.
Right.
Yeah,
10
that's the
feet.
next question.
So, yeah, I see that. So how? All the equipment that gets in to build that house, some of those trucks are gonna be wider than 10 feet. Oh, yeah.
Flatbeds thing. With machines on them or something.
Pretty truck coming into pour.
I don't know the dimensions, you know, sounds like you know the size of these trucks better than I do. I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know.
I mean, our access roads just to get a standard bucket in is at least 15 feet wide.
Your access road requirement? Is that what you said?
No, the access road, well, yeah, our requirement is 15 feet, but that's still touching the edge.
You're saying you want a wider driveway?
I think we want the impact of a wider driveway, but if you're going to be going up and if James is
I
correct,
just
then
wasn't
vehicles
thinking about
going-
trucking until trucking was brought up. So now I'm not saying it has to change. I'm just curious if something is wider,
8 feet 6 inches.
for a-
a concrete.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we're good. That's probably the biggest that'll come through.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Must be bringing full size.
Well, I was thinking even if like temporary, if you needed to put like alternative mats on the side of the road.
10 feet with the mirrors.
10 feet with the mirrors.
Okay, commission, what do you want to do as far as conditions?
One last.
That's
Oh,
right,
as
good.
far as that.
Yes, you're good. You still have one more point on there too.
Okay, yeah, we just covered the driveway. It's gonna be 10 feet with 1 feet on either side shoulder, so 12 feet total when you consider the shoulder. And the replication area monitoring, last time commission said it's your custom to have 3 years instead of 2 years, so that has been reflected in monitoring plan notes 1, 2, and 7 on sheet 2.
I thought I saw 2 years still referred somewhere on the bottom of one of the comments. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't tell you which section it was. And that just said, oh, he just said 3 year and he was gonna make changes. Did he miss one or was it something else on there?
On the monitoring plan notes on sheet 2, it's all been changed to 3 years.
It has.
Tell me that we missed somewhere.
No, it was in the monitoring sections. I think on the report, maybe I misread it. Okay, that's fine. You changed all 3. I know you made that comment. I read that.
Sure, we wanna accommodate.
I think it's just in there's one paragraph before it gets to the numbered section, and it says wetland hydrology shall be observed during the spring and fall for the first 2 years, and
Oh, that's what I
representative
said.
photos taken at these times.
So it's 2 years, but 3 growing cycles was then referred to after that, correct?
Yeah, thank goodness.
So technically 3 years is 3 growing cycles, I assume.
3
years is 2 years is not 3 growing cycles.
Well, there's two things. There's the pipe thing, and then there's that typo in the
Okay.
preamble to the monitoring plan. Nice. But again, we agreed on
Right.
3 years.
So, you know, I can continue the next meeting, get all the information, have it, the revised plans, and then proceed to
And the only
close
thing
and
is the
issue.
pipe that I'm only one opinion on the the concrete encasement. So if people are fine with that, that solves the issue. I'm only. We'll schedule it. We'll have the same problem, right? If it's not engaged.
It'll still migrate up, but it's not as flexible, so.
What about RCP?
Reinforced concrete pipe. What's that?
Reinforced concrete pipe.
Yeah,
Right. So that's,
that'd stay. Be a little deeper.
I will talk to the engineer about changing that.
Okay. You gotta be a more permanent solution.
yeah.
And that was,
I just
I
want to see
think, the goal.
if the impacts change.
And the order of conditions will require that snow is lifted, not pushed to the side. Is that correct?
You say it shall be so. No one has stated that yet, so
Well,
We talked about snow last time.
we talked about Joe, but not specifically like lifted versus pushed, so that's a good point.
With only 1 foot, it's gonna go past that and into the wetlands.
For sure. That's a good point. That's a really long driveway to do that.
We're probably gonna do the same condition list we did for, I can't remember the address. The other one house with the long driveway that was gravel.
They want to put it next to the existing house that's with the pool and stuff eventually down the.
That would probably be a good example.
Off of Chase, opposite Chase Street or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's you remember that? You don't remember that one?
Was that here?
Yeah.
Oh, which one are we talking about?
I don't remember the
Number-wise.
address.
What's the?
Oh, the 175 north, is that?
Off of North Street, yeah.
Oh, okay.
One off North,
Yeah.
I think Chase, but there was a.
That's when he didn't show up at the site visit because he lost the bet with Mike Tyson.
Oh, right.
Oh, when I was sick, you mean?
Yeah.
I was sick
I
that
don't
morning.
remember.
All right.
So do you think you will have all those changes to us by the next meeting?
Oh, absolutely.
I think he's very motivated. And it's not, they're not hard changes.
I have two. I changed the ADS to RCP and one typo on preamble to monitoring.
You said something about the plans. We have to revise plans, you said, about 21 days.
Well, that's only if you wanted to close tonight, but it sounds like you want to continue, so we'll just get you the plans.
Right.
I'd rather just close, but that's.
He was saying his preference would be for us to condition the more strict crossing. And
Oh,
then
gotcha. Okay.
close
then-
conditionally on that.
In which case we have to have it. Yeah. Okay, so looks like we're gonna continue, just close at the next one and assume that everything is in good shape. We'll get through other conditions quickly out after that. Sounds like we'll do. It sounds like a big problem. But I need to have a motion to continue this to the evening of March 12th at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Well, you got it.
Okay, Steve, Neil second. All right, any other questions, comments? James? Vote.
You guys can vote. Oh,
Yes, please. All right, thank you, Steve. Neil? Ariane?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
I'm my guy. Okay, unanimous. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a nice night.
Good night.
I see Mr. Madden's online. Wow, it's very green wherever you are, Brian. Probably not up here.
Lost out in the woods.
Yeah, still out in the woods.
And it's
Wow.
daylight.
Is that the
where he is.
before
It's daylight
picture?
where he is too, so that's.
That's the
that's a
before
big-
Is
picture.
that the before picture of that area, Brian?
Anybody came in with chainsaws or mowers? Again, are you all here for 180 Main Street by any chance? Okay, just checking. We'll get to whatever else is on the agenda. I just want to make sure if you're here, you have a chance to speak. Okay, we are opening this hearing is continued hearing for notice of intent for 180 Main Street, Rentham Road. Vegetative restoration of cut areas within buffer zone to BBW. January Holdings LLC from 180 Main Street is the applicant. Brian Madden from LAC Consultants Inc. is the representative, and Brian is going to update us on the redistribution of trees in the reclaimed or replication area. I believe, correct, Brian?
Yes. Good to see everyone. For the record, Brian Madden from LEC Environmental, representing the property owner. Yes. So based on the feedback we received at the last meeting, we revised the restoration plan to spread out the tree species throughout the entirety of the 9,850 square foot restoration area. That restoration plan dated 2/20. Basically, you haven't changed any of the tree counts or species or shrubs counts or species, just reallocated to to spread it out a little bit more per the commission's request. So relatively simple. Be
How
happy
big
to
is the
answer any
street gonna be,
questions.
Brian?
We spec'd out a minimum of 4 to 6 foot height
Oh, that's right, I
minimums.
just said here, sorry, okay, you're deaf, so that'll give them a few years before they get tall enough to wanna cut them down again, correct? They're shaving the box.
Yeah, a few at
Since we're
least.
making them put them back in the box area, I'm just pointing that out, that's something that they obviously wanted to do to get them out of there, and we didn't agree with shoving them all into one corner, so.
Well, there's difference between pruning and clear cutting.
Right, maybe they can be more prudent in the future. Ooh. Hey, okay, any other comments or questions?
Are we going to suggest signage? Because I think the groundskeeper, like Ryan said, was very apologetic that this happened. But since this is now a
You mean a little
Replication
sign on the
area.
tree that says do not cut?
do not touch, yeah.
Please don't hurt me.
Yeah, to interject, we are proposing the signage, the wood posts with placards along the limits of the restoration area, so along the 100-foot buffer zone.
Excellent, excellent.
You know how
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 far
the
apart? and how
spacing
many-
is?
Yeah, what are you thinking about for that, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, site conditions will dictate it a little bit, but I think anywhere from 25 to 50 feet should accomplish. I think so it's completely visible across.
Anyone want a chain link fence to help keep the golf balls in bounds? No?
If
Okay.
anyone's hitting it here, they got a lot of problems.
Yeah, all right.
Hit
You
it
haven't seen me
backwards.
Right. Any other questions or comments, observations?
I think we've beaten this one to death.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, I think we're getting something done to take care of something that shouldn't have been done in the first place,
Yep.
so. It's a good thing in a way. Hopefully moving
Yep.
forward, the future groundskeepers and staff there, or whatever that place turns into or stays, will pay attention. And come to us first before they cut things. Okay, hearing now, questioning, oh, Hannah, thank you, please.
Just to clarify that one condition for the, having the placards. Every 25 to 50 feet, subject to approval by, like conservation office, so if we go up there and like, we wanna see like 2 more.
You can't see one because there's, a knoll in the ground or something like that, you
Yeah.
think it's not, yeah, I think that, the applicant's representative would be okay with that, right, Brian?
Yep, absolutely.
Brian, with Hannah, and we come up with a number that seems reasonable and spacing and so forth, that's fine, I will leave it at, I think your discretion. Good.
So are we closing this?
Yes, I think we are.
Motion to close?
I'll accept the motion to it and accept the additions as specified and a second. Pam, thank you, second. Steve first, okay. Any other comments, questions? James, vote please.
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Neil? Aye, okay, Steve. All right, and Mike, aye. All right, yes, vote. All right, Brian. Good to go.
All right,
Coordinate with
thank-
your signs with Hannah and good luck with that. And we'll see you eventually about this project, this site again down the road, I'm sure. Not the
All
same.
right.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Right, Jack.
Take care.
Okay. So, we're gonna jump under other business to the minutes because I didn't see anything that I could even begin to pick union about, so I thought they were excellent. And I had no comments about them. Did anybody have any observations about the minutes?
Why did that sound sarcastic?
Well, no, because I'm usually, at one point in time, I was called the minute man because I was the only one who read the minutes. Oh, that was a decade ago. But, anyway, I just like to make sure they're accurate for the record, should someday down the road, this be dug up in a box and under town hall, and, come what the Concom did. That they're accurate. Anyway, so, good.
I just have one
Go ahead,
picky
say it.
thing,
Go,
but I'm
go,
almost embarrassed to
go,
say.
say it.
Can I be Mrs. Francis instead of Miss?
Make it so for the record, and you shall.
I'm RS, yeah, I feel like Mrs. didn't. I feel like it keeps me young. I want people to think I'm old.
So you'd rather be Mrs. than Miss.
Yeah, that's on
Okay.
page 1. I think it's throughout the whole thing. I know
Oh,
it's
through
so
the whole thing?
persnickety, I apologize.
That's doing it for our future reference too, for the agendas and so forth like that, and all minutes that we have the recording secretary, make sure, we'll keep it, take care of it. Okay, anything else for, okay, I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes of the 12,000 amended by one,
first? Does Miss Barton want to, no, she's not a Mrs. Are you?
I am, but I like the.
I like the Miss.
Yes, okay, so Ms.
I thought you wanted to be called madam.
Sorry, sir.
Mr. Chair, just before you accept the minutes, I just want to be clear who we are. So we're here for the potential violations of the Graham Street, Farm Street, and we just wanted to have a quick discussion with the board. So if you want to
Right,
approve the minutes first, go ahead.
We're just doing that because one of the members has stepped out, and that's an easy thing for us to do without him being in the room, and he's back, so we'll do that, and then we'll jump right to you, we haven't forgotten yet, you're on most next. So,
Last meeting.
yes, we have the minutes, motion made, and, who seconded it, because we have first. Well, Steve, okay, second, thank you.
Right?
He did.
That's it, you want to make sure, okay, you were first, okay. Any discussion minutes, no, okay, James,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Neil. Aye. Steve. Aye. Ariane.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Mike. Aye. Okay, minutes accepted as amended. And now we'll move to potential violation of Granite Street / Farm Street. Thank you. Please come up. Thank you for your patience. Appreciate, if you could just, when you're settled.
Andy, you said there's no photos, or you couldn't get them?
Not like photos from the road. We have all the aerials.
Yeah.
That are.
Those were already on the web portal. You saw those, right, on the Steve? Okay, yeah, I think it's over. If you could just identify yourself for the record, please.
Brian Demetric, great.
And good evening, Mr. Chair, Attorney Nicholas Rossini, I represent Brian and his wife Sarah here, the property owners. You all may be familiar with my colleague at Doherty, Dugan, Cannon, Raymond, and Wild, Ted Cannon. He's been in front of the board in the past.
Name doesn't ring a bell, but I'm terrible with names, so don't hold me there.
No problem.
Welcome, thank you. If you'd like to respond to the notice or the letter that you received, which I gotta apologize because I read it today. And I don't know what happened. I'm sure it was just a computer glitch, but the way the fonts and stuff changed on what I was reading, it was like, wow, they're getting this and it's got different fonts and station. That's not the normal documentation that we send out, but I don't know what, something go wacko with that. Did you see that?
I don't know.
Did anybody else see the letter that we sent, that Hannah sent?
And I'm happy to provide the board just a brief background, and just to make sure it's some color in the discussion. So my clients received the letter from the Conservation Commission to Crested Granite Straight Farm LLC, they're involved here. Essentially, they operate on this property. It was a compost farm. It used to be a horse farm in 2000, and I believe 22. There was a oil release that where Brian and Sarah worked with this board. That issue was resolved, and at that time it was recommended they work with the Department of Agricultural Resources to apply for official farm permitting for the property. They began that process, and MDAR, forgive me, a little bit late in the day, not enough coffee. Inspected the lot. They were pleased with the composting activity that was happening there, but the scale of it was the issue. And in light of the recommendations they have, that Brian and Sarah are working.
I think you guys
scale
are more
back.
concerned with
With the wetlands that are on.
Yeah, so.
So-
let's get
so-
through that. So I was going off the GIS map, not realizing there was wetlands there. I'm in the process of hiring a engineer that does wetland stuff. I just need to get them hired, to get them there, get the area figured out, and then I can come back and present you guys with what we need to do. I'm pretty sure that's what you're looking for, right?
This is a little complicated because I'm not sure, because I can't remember where the property line exactly is with the town line, but this involves Medway as well.
Not this conservation issue, it has nothing to do with Medway.
There's zoning and planning stuff happening with them.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
I understood, but the conservation,
Just-
I thought you were saying, I misheard you. I thought
No,
you were
as far as-
saying it's nothing to do with Medway at all. And I'm like, well, that's not, but you're right, zoning and planning with them versus conservation necessarily with us. Okay.
As far as this meeting's concerned, it's a section of wetlands, it's all Bellingham. That like I said, I was going off the GIS map,
Okay.
didn't realize anything there. I've been in contact with an engineer. They're gonna come out and do some coring and figure out exactly where everything is, and I will present you with a restoration plans, all that fun stuff.
So we can decide what would be appropriate for the applicant to come back with, whether it's.
Well, aren't we not even sure at this point that he's actually encroached on the wetlands, we just.
Well, that's what I think he's hiring somebody.
Yeah, that's what we wanna find
That's
out.
why we have to do some coring.
We need to
and get-
start with an
figure out-
RDA.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Right,
because if
so
we need
I-
to apply for any notice of intent or.
Right, I think that we're just trying to specify, I think what I'm hearing from some of the members up here is an RDA is probably what's most proper to have you come back to us with first determination of applicability. If it's no, that's a good thing for you guys, that means you don't have to, I think, but if it is a yes, then we could then proceed to decide whether it's a notice of intent or something, a hand needs to be done as part of it, or, you know, whatever we're gonna end up needing to get to, probably notice of intent, it maybe makes sense or maybe not, again, it depends on the scope and what's going, but I think the first step, yes, would be for you to
Identify the wetlands.
right,
Yep.
to come back with an
And the
RDA.
seat and the RDA determines if you are, request for determination about,
So the wetland scientists you're gonna hire will know how to do that.
Right.
If they don't, have to reach out to Hannah.
No, I've already talked to some, they're gonna do coring, and so I'm guessing what we need to
Like
do.
soil testing?
Coring.
Or
I said he's gonna core.
To delineate core the soils.
Yeah,
Right,
to
well,
figure out what the,
Logger or whatever, I'm thinking, it sounds like test pits, I'm like.
no,
Okay,
nothing
they say
like that.
coring, you
This
know, it
is
could be anything.
just to figure out what kind of soil's there, to see if it's actually wetlands or not wetlands, and if
When
it
do
is,
you think this process will be done?
I'm not trying to delay it by no means.
No, we don't want to schedule for the next meeting if you're. not
I
gonna be
don't
ready.
think
I
I'd
would,
be
I,
ready.
if I may, I think, I would recommend at least 60 days, just to be sure that we have enough time to get it done. If the board would prefer 30
there's no-
days,
we
we
don't
will
have
work
anything
as hard as
Right,
possible. to get
right,
it
we
done.
don't, you're gonna come to us, this is a discussion right now, so we are not having a hearing per se, this is
Yeah.
informational.
Mhm.
When you come back to us, we know that you're acting on it, so we're not gonna be chasing after you. On the other hand, we're not gonna be forgetting you, you're out there too, so if we don't hear anything, Hannah will keep that in mind but I'm not worried about that.
I've already contacted an
Right.
engineer and I've already started the process of this. I don't think it'll be 30 days. I think I'm probably so the 60. I don't know his schedule. I'm not.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we don't
You know,
have
we
you on the slate per se, because you're not, can't receive anything.
And my only thing would be just to get erosion controls in there prior to, just so nothing continues to migrate into any potential wetlands while that process is happening.
Right,
That
so,
would just be my recommendation.
At the west side of the property. The whole thing.
So you're worrying about the existing wetlands, not the disturbed wetlands then?
well, we're just,
Oh,
either
Sure.
both, but what we don't want is anything more to migrate or get eroded
Okay.
in bad weather, we get a huge rainstorm, or whatever.
Yeah, I can get
You know, So
something around.
usually it's straw wattles, siltation fence, something like that. If
Okay.
you've hired and engaged in a wetland scientist, their expertise will probably be very helpful. If
Okay.
you're not sure what to use. Because sometimes hills, you want something more
Mm-hmm.
than flat areas. But I think, do we want to leave it? That's up, leave it up to the
My only
administrator.
thing would be, I could also do a site visit to kind of just get an idea of where the erosion controls should be relative to where the work is occurring.
I'm more than happy to coordinate with you.
Okay.
Do it after I talk to my engineer. I can reach out to you and figure out when, let me meet with him, talk with him. I'll do that sooner than later. I'll
Okay.
meet with, and then I'll get something out sooner than later and, I'll let you know where it's gonna go.
Okay.
I'll just grab your card before I go and I'll reach out to you directly.
Yeah, and your guy may come out and say, it's definitely jurisdictional, you're definitely gonna need an NOI, and he may push you in that direction right off the bat. We're just saying that probably an RDA is at least allows everybody to make a determination as to
Great.
which path we need.
No, it sounds good.
Good. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you,
Have a great
sir.
night.
Have a great night.
But we give you
Yeah, the whole website's in town.
Well, I will chase it down if I need to.
All right, just down Bellingham.
It's fine. If you don't, I will find it. Yeah, I will find it. If not, I'll figure it out. Okay.
Next Monday morning.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm not so good with that too. Okay. And we'll get back to it relatively quickly. I want to resolve this.
You wanted to have some trees looked at in the backyard that are leaning to the
I'm glad you
foundation and over at the public.
Yeah, I'm not trying to avoid it again. I'm trying to get this.
We want open
What
communication.
I'm able to do is cancel. I have a doctor's appointment Monday
They have
morning,
no
so I don't
problem
think I'll be able to make it time to get there and
Communication.
still go out. Yes. The arborist
Thank you.
wants
Have a
to
good
meet-
night, everyone.
It's a Monday morning, and that.
Have a good night.
I sent this email out the other day, so Hannah, 79 Sanj, 79 Plymouth,
Oh.
Monday, it's a Monday morning that
I
probably
was,
the
I
arborist.
was trying to see if, because it got all confused after it got canceled.
Yeah,
and then-
I know, then I didn't hear anything for a long time, I totally forgot about it, but I.
Exactly,
yeah.
so I had talked to Sahan and suggested a couple dates, and that was one that he was able to make, and I wanted to ask if that was something.
I have a doctor's appointment, so I don't know that I could do it if it's gonna be, unless it's like 8:30, I was there and done, but the arborist is the question, because you definitely got to have the
Because I
arborist.
wanted it to be during working hours, because I think he
Right.
would be more likely to be there.
Right, so I was just asking if any of the other Concom members happen to be available on Monday, the 3rd, probably in the morning.
In the
but we
morning?
don't-
No, not the morning.
But you don't know the arborist's schedule on Monday anyway, so it's possible the arborist isn't gonna be available, in which case Sanj and I have to figure out a day, and I
Yeah,
can't say
and
something.
we can always pick a different day. That was
Okay,
just
it's not,
up
it's
for
nothing urgent,
discussion.
he put it off because he wasn't, it was some trees that are conservation leaning over into his area, whatever, and it's like some of the other projects we looked at, we would probably just want to put some eyes on it before we make. a
Hannah, have
recommendation.
you been there?
No, I still haven't been there.
So I will be working from home and that's where it is, and this is where I live. So that is very easy at any point on
Yeah,
Monday.
You can walk over.
You can walk
Basically,
over
yeah.
like 30 seconds. Okay, so if it works out to have Pam go and you're willing to do that, that'd be great. Saves me having to run frantically
All right,
from
I'll
one place to
coordinate
another
with you then.
that morning, but it is kind of short notice, I know, because it's only Monday, so coming up. But on the other hand, it's March and spring will be here. Okay, so if that can work out, great. If it doesn't work out, the arborist will just reschedule, and if I'm available, I'll certainly.
It's next Monday.
This Monday, the
What time?
3rd. We don't know, she's waiting for the arborist to get coordinated, because the arborist is gonna want to make the technical call about the trees, and this time of the year, I couldn't tell whether they're dead or not, well, maybe I could have, branches have fallen off, but anyway. Okay, how urgent it is and how, then we can decide, do you think he's willing to come to a meeting, right? I mean. Do an RDA or something like that, because he's a,
Or, I mean, not totally sure, but he can always, relay that information to me or write up a memo or something.
I just didn't know how he expressed his concern initially to you, because I know he came to you first about
And it's also an interesting situation because the tree warden that was here before he is being phased out and there's a new tree warden. So originally they were both gonna come to the site walk, but I'm not sure if he's still involved with training of the new tree warden. So that also is a fun, different situation.
barking up the wrong tree there.
Hannah, when you speak with Sahan, ask him if you can get through the fence in the backyard to where the trees are.
Push the forward button on the bulldozer.
You may have to go around onto the neighbor's property to get,
And I think the neighbor is us, right? I think that was part of
well, behind,
Oh,
but on the side.
On either side is houses.
oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
We're the neighbor in the back.
I'll just know. Yeah, so it's worth scoping out, and I'm sure it'll be flexible and amenable and everything that we always ask for residents.
The dogs are friendly.
There we go. Okay, so we're gonna confirm
But
that.
just the resident, no special treatment.
That's right, absolutely. Everybody
If
gets.
anything, they should be able to hire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't
bring up sheds anymore.
Even a dog?
We should that
Huh?
topic.
Even a dog course about.
Okay, or tree houses,
around.
or gazebos, or pergolas on the edge of deep ravines. Yes, Hannah.
So the only other things I have are, I don't know if people got a chance to read
Mhm.
the order of resource area delineation and the NOI for,
Yellow.
we met,
Which
the-
one was the yellow highlighted one that I saw so much on?
that was the Silver Lake Dam
I
one.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if people feel comfortable signing stuff, we can sign them now because I have copies.
Okay.
And if you don't,
Don, can you reach through the screen and sign these two NOIs for us? Just reach through the screen. We'll hold it.
I can sign
that's
electronically
the
if
one
it's
that you
needed.
can't sign anyways.
Yeah, we got live copies here, so we got plenty of signatures. Don't worry about it. We got
Okay.
6 out of 7 is good. We'll let you go this time. We're happy that you made it home safely.
Oh, Harry, I can't sign that.
Thanks.
Oh, right, Arian's gonna be not doing one of them. That's fine. We still 5 signatures, 4 is what we really have to have.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, let's pass those around if you
I
would,
didn't know
please.
if there were, the only thing was, there were some comments here, if people had any comments on
I
the
looked at my.
conditions, but if it's fine, then we're good.
No input, not that I'd have a lot of input,
Right.
but I had no input.
And I actually did end up discussing with Brian the order of resource area delineation, just to confirm that, because there were so many weird flags and I listed all of the flags on ANRAD and he didn't have any problems with it, so it was good, yeah.
I will say on those lines, we did, for 180 Payne Street restoration, in the email from, Hannah on Tuesday. No, Monday or something? Oh, that was twice that. She said updates from today. We did get a DEP comment on 180 Payne Street restoration. NOI Mass DEP recommends that any restoration work and plans in response to a violation, I mean, forget anything, should be addressed through the enforcement order, please through the enforcement manual, pages 7.2 and pages 8.4 to 8.5. I don't know what the enforcement manual is. I asked Tana coming in tonight about that. She said that's what the DEP wrote. We didn't do an enforcement order for this, so I'm just gonna ignore that at this point in time. I think we resolved that violation.
Can I make one comment on
Yes,
this?
go ahead.
Just, I think, it might be helpful to like go through some of the enforcement order stuff, just because I think we, or you as a commission, sometimes take an enforcement order as like, this is like a really bad thing, but I think DEP likes sometimes when things get resolved through enforcement orders, because it's just like, here's a date, here's the plan to restore, and then that's it, rather than an NOI with like 45 Ruth Ellen, where timelines get weird and we can't necessarily even enforce stuff with like the 45 Ruth Ellen. They said they were starting on that stuff. I did connect with them on that, but it's just a little bit harder to enforce restoration NOIs if we don't have strict timelines set in place and like conditionals for NOIs. So I think that was part of, they were asking us to look at the enforcement manual for potentially using an enforcement order for situations like that. I think that was their note, and that's how I interpreted it.
We did not issue any sort of enforcement order with the Bellingham Baptist, so I can speak about that without it being like a violation of that. Okay, so they do park on the wood chips.
Yeah. When they pull the chips off, which was recommended by them, I think, or their peer review consultant, whatever, and dispose the soil, which they then need to plant or something, so they'll wash all down, then we'll just have to watch their tire tracks or something. I think it's a lot easier to spot in grassy dirt than they will be on mulch.
I did
Huh?
just grab a few pictures of them parking on the things. They said they were parking on because I was right there this weekend.
Right up,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it on a Sunday, you couldn't get another car.
And only two?
Just two. There's still two more.
You can
that
grow
were
some
closed
spikes
by
in
now.
there. Nah, we probably see. Okay, anything else for the commission? Otherwise, Don wants to go to bed. It's late. Started us, boy, you don't commute there. I'll accept the motion.
I got one thing, quick, on the potential violation that just came in. I looked at half their properties in Medway, especially the upper portion where all the activities happen, right near the wetlands, so. I would just get in touch with Bridget.
Yeah, and she's aware, but I think the wetlands are just further over there versus there's more of her impact on our side. So she
And
was more worried about.
And there still is the issue with, I don't know, the whole compost farm versus forest farm.
There's landscaping materials.
Yeah.
But the zoning and planning board, I mean, Rob is involved in it, so it's not just zoning, planning in Medway and Concom and Bellingham, and none of the two should ever speak. Anyway, I will accept the motion to close and adjourn the meeting. Somebody, okay, James, Ariane, second, thank you. Any other discussion? Neil, closing. Yes or no?
No.
Okay, James.
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
Ariane.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
Aye, and I'm in. Okay, and you know, so thank you very much, everyone. Go home.
Take care, everyone.
Those that are going to, Steve, you and I and Hannah should talk about logistics, see if we can figure out a ride. Anybody else know, you guys have any, you guys going to the
Sorry,
MACC?
I'll be there before you guys.
Well, you have a table there, right? Yeah.